friends. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Hope you're having a good New Year so far. And how's yours going so far?
So far, so good. Knock on wood. So far, so good. Knock on wood.
I see what you did there.
um, yeah, not too bad. Feel like I was, dreading going into it, but like I've at least turned a temporary corner. We'll see if we can
Skirt back around it.
skirt back around.
At least for now, we turned it.
But yeah, thinking about forward motion, trying to keep my focus on that. So
Nice. I like
how
it.
about you?
Good so far. Yeah, I definitely feel like, the hardest, like on wood, um, the hardest thing was going into the new year, but like once I did that, it just felt like,
Yeah.
and so far so good. Um, Kind of doing that reset. I feel like after a season of, and we're still in the season of grief, but like, you neglect your home and a lot of other things. And then having the holidays, it's kind of like that fresh start. So it's been a big focus of, getting to all the things I haven't gotten to in my home, things that need cleaning that didn't get cleaned, and um, getting back into school this next week. And so, yeah, it's going all right.
So forward motion.
Forward motion. If you don't know who we are the Rustic Girls. I'm Katie, the daughter of the mother-daughter duo.
And I'm Patty, the mother of the mother-daughter duo.
And we love coming and chatting with you guys. Obviously, it's not live yet. But the goal will be once we hit the requirements by the YouTube powers, we will be going live on Saturday mornings at 9. But until then, we'll record these and we love to interact in the comments. So comment along. We'll come back and chat with you. And this week we thought we would talk about hospitality and what that looks like. I think it can be a little bit of the word's a little bit of a lost word. And I think it might be a little bit of a lost art. And in my opinion, one of the things that killed hospitality so much was Pinterest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it started setting this expectations. Birthday parties had to be crazy elaborate.
How you served all
home
your
dinners,
food.
how you serve your food, all of it. They set these really high expectations for presentation, and it gets to the point where it's unattainable. It's just there's too much work involved, and it also is not really what hospitality is about.
No.
And so I think, like I said, in my opinion, I think Pinterest kind of killed it because it made it so much work, and it's really not, and it really focused on the wrong thing.
Well, I know you know, I kind of got pulled back into it. I've never really studied it, so let's just start with that. I've never really studied the early church, but doing school with the girls, like we touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that was more of a common thing with the early church to just welcome people into your home and feed them and that translated over into, like you said, the earlier years of our country, earlier years of
people came in, you fed them supper, and your homes weren't necessarily fancy or big, and the presentation was simple, and it wasn't, I think, had the heart of it better. So I think when we're talking about hospitality, it's getting back to the heart of it, which is making someone feel welcome. And that doesn't require those. There is nothing wrong with having beautiful things. There's nothing wrong with doing beautiful food, as long as it's not to the neglect of the heart, which is to make someone comfortable. And so,
well, I think, I know I can remember a season in my life where I was so focused on being the hostess,
hostess with the most,
yeah, that I missed out. People say, "Come on, just come sit down, talk with us," because I'd be busy in the kitchen, and serving and cleaning up and da 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 da, all the things. And that's the essence of what it's all about. And with that, I think comes, if you want to have, well, whether it big or small, it comes with the background work of
Mm-hmm.
being prepared, right? So that you're not in a frenzy trying to like put all this stuff at together and put it out for somebody, because that can impact your mood and everything
Oh yeah.
else. So like having your um I don't know, I read somewhere of, you know the goal of your home, having your home ready so that you could always welcome someone in. um and that doesn't mean like you have to keep your home like picture
Picture perfect.
perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but to where if somebody shows up at your door unannounced, a friend or whatever, that you're not standing there holding the door,
Mm-hmm.
like
Blocking the view.
blocking the view because you don't, so whatever that comfort spot is for you, to where that if somebody stops by, you can say, "Come on in, come on, I'll make you a cup of tea. Let's
Mm-hmm.
sit down and chat."
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I think on that, one of the, um, I guess jumping into the physical aspects of hospitality would be um, cleanliness. So when you're thinking of your home, people don't mind toys on the floor, or
mhm,
even a laundry hamper. As long as there's no underoos on top, even a laundry hamper on the couch. Like it's dirty.
mhm,
So for me, when we're having company, my first priority is always to make sure the kitchen and the bathroom are clean. Those are my hot spots. If I go in a house and those areas are dirty, I'm the least comfortable.
mhm,
So I try to make sure they're clean, and the rest of it like is not as big of a deal. And that kind of being prepared for anyone to come in your home would be trying to stay on top of some of those key points. So keeping the bathroom clean, keeping the kitchen tidy, are two things that I think are really valuable because like I said, everything else you can kind of excuse away, and people don't, it doesn't bother them.
right.
And
I mean,
so
if you have
having a good
some friends will come in and sit down. If you got a basket of clean laundry, they'll
fold
just
laundry with
they'll
you,
just
yeah,
start folding laundry with you. So,
free labor. Yeah, and so yeah, I think having really good cleaning routines. I have basically a quarterly cleaning rhythm that when I follow kind of keeps everything from getting too bad. So there's the weekly, like the bathroom gets a good clean. You know,
mhm,
daily it gets kind of a quick wipe down and tidy. Weekly it gets a better clean. And then quarterly it gets a really deep, just all
mhm,
the crooks and crevices and um but that just repeats.
mhm,
So, it's 4 times a year, these specific things get done, and then the weekly ones repeat. And so it's just kind of, it becomes part of my normal rhythm
mhm,
to stay on top of those spaces. And by having it written out in my day planner, it's a reminder.
mhm.
So I don't forget it because I have a lot to keep track of as a mom. So I think it's focusing on just regularly keeping those areas clean. And then when I'm expecting company over, excuse me, when I'm expecting company over, I try to give it an extra little
Mhm.
oomph in those two hot spots because I think those are probably the most
Yeah.
critical because it's dealing with very personal
Mhm.
spaces and dealing with who's preparing the food.
Right.
And so you don't want to see a dirty space. So I think that's very practically speaking. And beyond that, like I don't think you don't need the
No.
fancy decorations. You don't need the fancy food. Even just I mean just
You
good
know,
food.
yeah, back in the day, I used to try to keep like, when I would bake cookies, I always double or tripled my batches and made sure some went into the freezer. Or if I
Mm-hmm.
made banana bread or whatever, uh, any kind of those quick breads or things,
It's a really good
because
idea.
then you can pull them out and defrost them real quick. Real quick, you could have something, you know,
Small.
so having coffee and tea on hand, or
That's really smart.
you know, um, just something that's easy, or even a box of like shortbread cookies or something that you just keep. in your
Hmm.
pantry and rotate out every so that it will get too
Right.
stale. But
Yeah.
but just something quick that you can pull out, to offer somebody. And we always, I mean, it was just kind of how I was brought up. My mom cooked for an army, whether there
So
was an
there's
army
always
there or
food. Yeah.
not. And but I think we all have been there to where even when you don't have a lot, even if you don't have that extra, you can stretch it a little further.
Hmm.
Um, so that, if somebody does just drop by unexpected, because you never know. The Bible talks about um, continuing brotherly love and
Entertaining strangers.
entertaining strangers.
Hmm.
You never know, might be an angel.
Right.
But yeah, and it's like, and you don't know. There's something about feeding someone that sometimes um, it's like it breaks down that
Hmm.
barrier. It in feeding them, it feeds their soul, and
Hmm.
um, you never know what kind of difference you could make for someone.
I was just talking with a friend last night about that, about how there's something magical when you break bread with
Mm-hmm.
people, when you share food with people. It's just different. There's more community, and it's
More
just
open conversation
open
and
conversation. It's just there's something magical in sharing food with someone else. So I do think having something for your hands to fiddle with and a little treat. I mean, that's a really great idea. Keeping the extras in the
mm-hmm.
freezer. Um, and I think, but going back to the heart of it, it's about making people feel comfortable. And so when I have someone over and I'm like stress cleaning in front of them,
Yeah,
like they're not comfortable.
no,
And so it's just being excited. I have a friend, and when she greets you when you arrive at her door, hi, friend, and she's outgoing and bubbly. So it's her, and I don't try to be her, but like she everything stops. She's so happy to see you.
yeah.
You feel like you're her best friend and the coolest thing in the world
And
when
she's
you walk
like,
through the
you just
door.
made her day because you dropped by. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think that really is a lot about why I love going to her house so much is she makes you feel so welcome. And it's not about her home, it's not about the food she offers. And all of those things are really nice and they have value. But I think the heart of it is welcoming them in,
Mm-hmm.
being excited to see them and being able to set things aside to enjoy their company is important.
Right. Well, and I think that, our society, I mean, I was going to say something else and I lost it, and I went to say that, and so I was like, wait, actually I want to say that, and then the other thing came back. So my brain is scrambling to hold on right now. Um but I dropped my
Hospitality, being excited to see people,
um
welcoming them in, making them feel important. Okay, I'll just keep talking. Just interrupt me when you get there. Um, so there's a lot of value in it, and I think as a Christian we recognize that there is really a biblical calling to it. So having the excuse of my house isn't big enough, my house isn't pretty enough, um, it's too I'm too busy, uh, I'm an introvert. Those are all excuses that we're really not given. I can. Do you got it?
yeah. So I was going to say, in this day and age, I mean, something that uh I think we have come to our society as a whole, we especially, you don't find it, I think, as much in the South, in the United States anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Northerners especially tend to be
Close
more
off.
closed off. Like they hold their door tight, and it's like, my home is my sanctuary. I don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so I think that there really has to be that mind shift, and along with that, I was going to say that for me, this kind of a thing that I think I really latched onto this when we had the shop, um, is For me as a shop owner, think like your customer. How do you respond as a customer? Like when you
Mm-hmm.
go somewhere, what appeals to you as a consumer?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, the same thing applies, in this. Like, think about what makes you feel comfortable and welcome and at ease. What do you focus on? It's like, as a host, you might be sitting there while not hearing what your friend is telling you because you're like, I can't believe that mess is sitting out over there. Or you're like, oh, there's that, or there's that, and you're
Yeah, you're
like
not
you said,
present.
you're stress cleaning or whatever, or you're distracted by it. Whereas, like, I don't know how many times, like, when you're honest about it, your friend is like, I didn't even see anything. Like, they're there to see you,
Yeah.
and so they're not noticing things. I think, like you said, there's those things, those hot spots that's important. But so try to put yourself in the mind of them, and
Right.
like, okay, what would I, if I showed up at their house,
Right.
what would feed my soul? What would I want?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I
Yeah.
I was so worried I was going to lose it, so I was
That's why I stopped.
like,
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with any of that. Uh, hang on. Okay, I'm back. Thinking about the homes and the excuses, because honestly, like I have a 100-year-old house or almost 100-year-old house, about 900 square feet, with a lot of bodies living and kitties living here. Um, and when we first moved in, I let that be an excuse not to have people over. And I'd go to other people's houses and they had such house envy. Their home is beautiful. It's everything I want my home to be. Um, and they host it all the time. And so it's like, well, I just need a home like that. And then I could host. And I realized, it's not true. I don't. I can host in my little home. And yes, it's got some ugly spots, some bumps and bruises, some uneven floors. Uh, but I can keep it clean and I can have people in. And since I did that, you're my first time having someone over is always my most anxious because
they've never been here
how are they going to
before.
react? Like, because there are some, we're in progress. I did drywalling on one section of the living room. And when it got to the door, I like had turned that corner and done like, the a foot or so out so I could do built-ins. But then I didn't have enough money and it wasn't a good time to be able to continue drywalling around the entire room. And so it stopped there and there's kind of this ugly crack by the front door, where you see like gross stuff. And so there's like spots like that. They're just, ugh. But it's my home, right? She's a work in progress. Um, but yeah, my first time having people over is always the most nerve wracking because I don't know how they're going to react to the space. But after I've had people over, it's like now they come over all the time and it's not stressful. I have other friends that, you know, they know, like they know my home and it doesn't bother them. And I can't say that I've had anybody that's like, your home's gross. So I
Well,
think it's
and
proof that it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect to be present.
exactly. Well, and I think, like you said, I think Pinterest and social media has really done us a disservice in so many ways. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think there's great inspiration to
Mm-hmm.
be had and all that,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's done us a great disservice because, um, you know, yeah, I mean, well, we were just watching Little House on the Prairie, so like I always draw from that. But you think back in those days when people were, you know, they didn't have those instant connections that we have now, and they didn't have all the comparisons, and they had, sometimes a tiny little one room shanty with a dirt floor, but they still, when somebody showed up, they would welcome them in,
Offer them a meal,
or if somebody,
cup of coffee.
got caught in a storm, they'd find a place for them to spend the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and there wasn't all this thought there. I
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't even, I just, I can't, I tend to believe that never even crossed. I mean, I know that, they probably went just maybe somebody who lived in town and they had a nicer home or
Oh
whatever. But
yeah,
I just don't think that that was, what is it?
as big of a
Comparison is
thing.
the thief of joy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It
And
really
I
is.
I don't think that that was as big a thing. And again, when you're on the receiving end, like I know when I go to someone's home, it's like I might walk in and go, "Oh wow, this is a beautiful home." I mean, I
Yeah,
might take that
but
in,
then it's about the
or "Oh,
people.
this is a what a beautiful presentation."
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes, I feel way more comfortable when
Yeah,
somebody just like scoots stuff over on their couch and says, "Have a seat, let me make you a cup of tea."
yeah,
Um, and then they sit down and give me their full attention.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I think it's definitely about being present over having a perfect home. Is where the value of hospitality comes in, and I think it's important to have hospitality.
mhm,
It's important to practice it because it's this opportunity to connect with people in a different way,
mhm.
in a deeper way. I think we let our guard down when people are in our home or we're in somebody else's home. The connection's just a little bit stronger, um, and
Well, and I think you get to, if you're in their home, you
mhm,
get to see just a little bit more of them, whether
mhm.
it be interactions with their family, just
The
things
books
in
they
their
have on their
home, the books that,
shelf, the
yeah,
pictures they've hung on
and
the
vice
wall.
versa.
Mhm.
So even without the actual interaction, just being in
You
each
get
other's
to know someone.
spaces, you get to know a little bit deeper,
Yeah,
and that can spark conversation.
yeah, yeah. So I think there's so much value in it. I would encourage anyone who maybe feels like they can't or they don't have the right space to try.
Mm-hmm.
Just try. Try having somebody in. I start with somebody you feel really safe with if you're not used to hospitality. Kind of practice on them. Um, but get to the point where you're willing to welcome anyone in your home and just be with them. And I think, especially in this day and age, being present, being intentional about setting things aside, putting your phone down, and just talking is the best gift you can give someone. Because I think we all struggle with being fully present these days. And then I think just lastly on a few practical tips, um, you mentioned having the treats in the freezer,
Mm-hmm.
but I think having things like coffee on hand and tea on hand, it's important. You should mention that, but little things like um, candle that you can burn
Mm-hmm.
or a electric candle if you have allergies or little children. Something that's just a gentler lighting. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to do the big overhead lights. You can do a lamp, or those are just things that make people feel more cozy. Throw pillows, blankets. There are little ways to just create comfort
Mm-hmm.
in a space. They're not necessary to hospitality, but they're just nice.
Having blankets on hand too,
Mm-hmm.
because especially like if your house tends to be drafty, or
Yeah.
that can be a nice touch. You want to keep your guests comfortable. I was gonna say, another aspect of hospitality, which I think is a practical tip as well, but is being at the ready to offer hospitality outside of your home. um you know Doing, having freezer meals ready,
Mm-hmm.
so when we always, well, I shouldn't say we always tend to show up, but I think people show up more like, when there's a new baby or a death in the family, people show up. But sometimes it's, you just know that someone is going through something, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's not one of those loud things that captures the attention of everybody. Maybe you're just talking to your friend and she's like expressing her frustration. She's just in a hectic, overwhelmed season of her life. And,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you have like a meal you can pull out of the freezer, just being ready to go and offer hospitality to them, or run to the store and pick up a meal and drop it off, or show up at their house and say, "Hey, I'm here to do dishes for you,"
Mm-hmm.
or entertain the kids while you
Mm-hmm.
go take a hot bath. Or so
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother branch of hospitality. I
Yeah.
think it's kind of packing our hospitality in a suitcase
Yeah.
and
Because it comes down
taking
to
it
it's
with
caring
us.
for others.
Yeah, it is.
And
It's
so,
caring for others. So.
traditionally speaking, it's caring for others in your home. But yeah, there's the
Mhm.
aspect of taking it on the road, and loving on other people. I think that's just so um, important and often neglected. So,
But also with that freezer meal idea too, is, you know, or having, doesn't even have to be a freezer meal, but
meal you can make.
a meal you can make quickly. So
Mm-hmm.
if, you know, unexpectedly, you know, the visit lingers
Yeah.
into, hey, why don't you join us for dinner, you know, or call your husband and
Yeah.
have him come on over, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so you have those
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to make it
Mm-hmm.
easy on yourself. That's,
Yeah.
I think the Pinterest mentality, the I have to do all these things and present
Make
it
it
in a
pretty and
way
perfect.
makes
And
it feel like I
can't
don't have
do
that
this.
kind of
I don't have the
time.
capacity. Yeah.
I don't have the money. I don't have the
It doesn't have to be that
capacity.
complicated.
And if you set yourself up for
Mm-hmm.
hospitality, to be ready for it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think on that note, just for me, I learned and focused on mastering chicken Alfredo.
Mm.
Because that's one that can feed an army pretty quickly. And so that's something we kind of always keep extra pasta and extra um, heavy whipping cream on hand. And that's always my go to because
Mm-hmm.
it's quick, it's easy.
You
If
pick up a rotisserie chicken
exactly,
at
I can have my
Costco.
husband pick up a rotisserie chicken on the way home and we shred that up and I make up the sauce. And it's like, it takes like 15-20 minutes if you get the rotisserie. It takes like
It's a
15
great
20
idea
minutes.
having a
It's
go-to.
like, so have something that you're confident you can make really easily. So even if it's not, like you said, not a freezer meal, but it's something that you've made so many times, you could make it without a recipe. Doesn't take you any time. You can whip it up real quick. And it's something that pretty much, I mean, if it's something that's like everyone would enjoy, something simple,
Mm-hmm.
classic, just kind of fills your soul food.
Well, I feel like that's one of, one of those that if, let's just throw an emergent scenario out there that, something happened at one of your friends and you're the one picking up, running to their house, and you're going to cook a meal over there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's one you could
You can
just
grab and transport, yeah.
grab and
Mm-hmm.
transport. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's a great idea,
yeah.
having a
Just,
go-to that
yeah,
you can just
yeah.
instantly,
Make it frequently enough,
you don't have to think about.
Exactly. Um, I mean, I don't know that I have
I would
more
say
thoughts.
I have a couple hacks
Oh, yeah.
for
Hospitality
dupes, if
hacks.
you will, for when you are caught off guard, when maybe you get a phone call. This is one we pulled out of our hat more times than I
Would like to admit.
would like to admit, in the past. But, you know, those spur of the moment, like, get togethers, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, crap, this was my
This
down
is
day. My
laundry
house is
day, or
like,
this
yeah,
dishes are overflowing.
you know, uh, stack all those dirty dish. I mean, there's a couple things you can do. You could stack them all up in the sink and just lay a dish towel over the top of them. I've stuck a load of dirty dishes in the oven before. Tuck it in there as long as you're not going to have to cook in the oven, because that could be
Also,
awkward if you're like, oh,
yeah,
now I got to pull this out. They're like, why are all those in your oven?
yeah, this is more embarrassing.
You got dirty clothes sorted to go. You were gonna do lot. Stick them in the washer.
Yeah.
There's no shade. Or you pulled stuff out of the dryer to fold. You can always dump them back into the dryer.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The master bed is an excellent catch-all.
yeah,
Do a quick run
I mean,
through
I think
and
we all know. Yeah, the
yeah,
master bedroom is like,
perfect,
shut the
perfect
door.
dump.
Shut the doors. Focus on like, okay, do a quick wipe down in the bathroom.
Yep.
You
Quick
know,
wipe down the kitchen, and like if there's just not enough time to do those other things, toss them in a different room that they're not going in,
yeah.
and call it good. Like it doesn't have to be perfect at all. But yeah, I think that's an excellent when you're just feeling the pressure. Just stashing it.
Because it happens. It's
Uh huh.
like, we can be. I mean, I said all my years. It's like my mother-in-law had a knack for showing up on the
Mm-hmm.
days that my life was in chaos,
Yep.
and she just showed up. She would like not call. She would just show up and ready for a cup of tea,
Yeah.
and it would always, I'm like, without fail, she would show up on the day that everything was crazy. And eventually I just learned to realize it is.
It is what it is. It's all it'll be. Yep. So I'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
Kind of, what are your thoughts on hospitality? What are your go-tos, and maybe what are your tricks for when you're being a last-minute host?
Mhm.
Um, because
Yeah.
I think we all are better together. It's sharing
Absolutely.
our ideas and thoughts. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye, friends.
Bye.